In today's video, we're going to take a look at perhaps a smaller number of coins, which usually appear in my videos, but there are some real surprises in here, I think. We're going to start with this coin from Liberia. This is most of the coins in this video came from a dealer that I see a couple of times a year, and they usually have their coins priced at better than book value a lot here, and so they'll oftentimes have multiple prices written on these cards, but we pay whatever is written in red circled on here. So we're going to start with this Liberian proof coin from 1973 featuring an elephant. It is a 1 cent coin. It only cost me 15 cents. And then when we flip it over, oops, I missed that. It says back messed up. And after I got home with this coin, you can see where it says 1973 on here, and if we could see it better, you would say, I think it has a design with a palm tree in the middle, but that doesn't really matter. Can't really see this all that well. I had this coin, but I thought, hey, I can get it in proof condition, even though on the front here it doesn't look that great. There's some, maybe a little bit of discoloring on it for a proof coin, and I thought that was the reason it was cheap. But after I got home and I saw this, I remembered, you know what? I saw this exact coin in this dealer's bin late last year at a show, and I passed up on it then for good reason. I don't really need a coin, but I wonder if at one point it was, if the proof set that it comes in, I don't think this is Franklin Mint, but I was wondering if the set that it came in was glued in or something. So not quite sure why it would come out like that unless someone did something to it, but there you go. We're going to move to a coin from Singapore. I paid 25 cents for this. It has Singapore written in 4 languages on this side, a design that appears on a lot of their coins from about this time. This one's 1987. This one is a $1 coin. I think I read that this is a periwinkle, I think. But it's the $1 coin from catalog number KM54B. There's a couple of different versions of this coin. They did make this out of silver in their proof sets, but this coin was almost identical but made at a larger size from 1985 through 87. This specific coin is from 1987, so somewhere in the middle of the year they reduced the size of this coin so that it was a smaller coin. They also changed from copper nickel to aluminum bronze on this this coin, but book value, and that's going to be 75 cents. This next coin has a lot of writing on it. They didn't have as much on here. Pretty much all they had was China, Jiangnan, so this is going to be a province of China, which they did in a lot of the provinces of China produced their own currency through the early 1900s. And then they had 18, they had a catalog number, which I scratched out because I believe it to be wrong, and they wanted 50 cents for this. And so my first thought was, this could be silver. And so after looking it up, obviously there's not a lot of detail here, but what you can see is Jiangnan province on this side, and that's about all that's visible. There's a couple of, I think they call them rosettes on the side, but we do have a lot more detail on the back. So let's flip it over and talk about what's actually here. It turns out this is silver. It's 82% silver, which gives you a average silver weight of 0.0686, and just melt value alone is $1.84. And so this particular dealer, I'm surprised at how often I can find silver coins below melt value. With this one, maybe they didn't even know it was silver, and I've come across some things in their bins before where they just didn't know what it is, and they didn't price it right because they were not familiar with what they had. But normally this coin would have, a lot of Chinese coins have a dragon in a kind of a swirly design holding a pearl in the middle. That's what would be here if you could actually see it. There is also a weight on here, which doesn't really show up, but across the bottom, weight in Chinese coins, it's going to say 7.2 kandareens, which is a weight system that I know nothing about except for a couple of other Chinese coins that I've seen the word kandareens written on. The emperor at this time is Guangzhou. And so when you looked at the catalog, there are 15 different versions of this coin, and it turns out this is the very last version of coin Y142A. So of the different variations, some of them have to do with the size of the rosette, some of them have to do with, as I wrote here, no ring. Some of the earlier versions of this has a ring but around the dragon, but underneath the words that written on here. And some of the other differences on the back, there are some which have initials from our alphabet written between these two characters. But the thing that set this one apart from all the others is the one Chinese character which appears right here. And so many of this specific coin, there is another rosette on the back. But for a couple of the versions, it has that character, which I tried writing on here. It sort of looks like a Z, and but not really. But even of those couple of versions, there's a different version where it has. I've written it on here. It kind of looked like an HS, HZ symbol. This doesn't have it, so I'm kind of pointing out. Version 14 of this coin had that little HZ, upside down HZ on here, but not this one. So all of that to say, this is catalog version Y142A.15. And so the catalog says in very good condition, and this might not even be very good. I'm not really the grader in here, but it would say very good's $5. MS60 uncirculated would be $500. That just goes to show how hard this is. And so also it doesn't actually say 1905 on here anywhere. Instead, some of the characters on the back here is going to give us 42. So we've got a 4 plus for 10 and then the number 2. So it's going to have the year of the emperor, number 42, on here. And we can translate that out to a 1905. If I didn't mention, this is in the catalog as either 10 cents or 10 fin, depending on which catalog you've got. And so lots scratched out on here, lots pointed out. Pretty interesting to discover all that in a coin that was priced at 50 cents. Next up, we have this coin from Albania. It's made out of zinc, so a lot of the details are well worn. A lot of these zinc coins, they just tarnish really bad. They turn black and then they turn kind of a fuzzy white after that. So oftentimes it is hard to find Albanian coins I should say zinc coins in good condition. So this one dates back to when it was the People's Socialist Republic of Albania. The coin is dated 1947. This is a half liku. Catalog number is KM35. Whoever wrote 250 on here just looked at the AU price, almost uncirculated price on here, and said, yep, that's AU, it should be 250. Marked it down to $1.50, and then I got it for 50 cents. By the way, Albania coins, they call their country Shqipëri. So I don't know where Albania and Shqipëri come from, but that's what it's called. So we flip it over. Here's where we see the value of the coin as a half a liku, and this side still has some of its shine to it. Kind of rough. It should be smooth through all there. Hasn't really tarnished as much on this side, but you can also see the date of 1947. If you're curious about the currency there, so there were 100 kendakra in one liku. So a 1/2 of a liku would be 50 kendakra. Catalog number is KM35. We're going to now move to something that's old, but it's not the oldest coin of this video. This is from, this has been in a flip for a very long time because even the staples are rusty. And I sometimes wonder, should I rescue a coin out of a flip like this? And I'm not really sure to say. I mean, how long do you think that's been there? Who even wrote Netherlands East Indies on it? That is today going to be Indonesia, but at the time they were under the control of the Netherlands. Someone had written a date of 1830 on here, and I changed it to 1840. It is a 2 cents coin, so you can see this, the number 2 well enough. You can see the letter C. What you can't see is there's a tiny little T that's underlined twice on this side. And then as far as Netherlands go, a lot of the Netherlands coins that came after this, you might remember it's kind of like a dancing, fighting lion in the middle of a shield and a crown on top of that. There's a black spot here that's just where their price of $1 kind of got on there. Catalog of KM 291. The back on here is really plain. So it has Netherlands, abbreviated Nederl, Nederl, and then Indie, Indie, and then for the date's pretty well worn. They thought it was 1830. There's the 8, there's a 0. They thought there was a 3 right there, but this coin wasn't made in 1830, so I changed it to 1840. It was the only year this coin was made that ended in a 0, just to make sure. I went back to the catalog, making sure there was nothing else that this could have been like a different version of this coin from an older date, especially when it says Nederl, Indie. The only thing it could have been was 1840. There also would be a mint mark of W at the bottom. That's something else that's pretty well worn. So the back of this coin doesn't have a lot going on. I think there's a star at the very top of it also. This was a milled coin, and so it's called a 2 cents, but it's also, I think, colloquially was called a double duit. D-U-I-T, duit, was a coin that the Netherlands made at this time. The catalog says that in very good condition, this would be worth $3.50. So I'll let you decide if that was a good bargain or not. Here's another one with a lot of writing on it, and came from the same place because it's got the same staple, rusty staples. So in their writing, they had on it East India Company, India native state. And so that made me think that this was something that you would find in the India catalog. They wrote early 1800s, and so I thought this is going to be really tough to figure out. And you look on here, and so there is some kind of fowl bird on here. The catalog calls that a cockerel. And I found a coin like this a few months ago, and it was a country that made up Malaysia. So that was it was an area that became part of Malaysia today called Malacca. So that gave me a starting place. Although they said East India Company, so I went to my my 1800s catalog, flipped through India, didn't see anything close to this. However, when I was still in the Netherlands East Indies on the previous page, I found that there was something similar to this that appeared as a under Netherlands East Indies as Singapore trade token, had kind of a similar look to it. And so I did pay $2 for this, by the way. We flip it over, and here's our, this side is up. So this is one of those things that doesn't use our alphabet, didn't really know what to go on here. And so I searched around for it and eventually found it. And what's going on here? First of all, let me point out, there is the one number on the back I could read the easiest was, this is an Arabic 4 that only a small number of countries use. So this has a date of 1411 on here, but when I found that it was, the name of the bird on here was the cockerel, I just went to Numista to search for cockerel, and there were only 3 or 4 things that showed up, and so I was able to clearly decide which coin it was on here. So I've kind of given it a hint. This is not official currency made by British merchants. And so the apparently, if you're really interested in what's going on here, there is a catalog called written by Saran Singh, called the Encyclopedia of the Coins of Malaysia, Singapore, and Brunei, which goes into this coin in a lot of detail. That catalog is the Singh catalog SS28. So the value of this coin is called a one kepping. That is based on the coin from Malacca that was made about this time. In Arabic letters on the top of the bird on here, it translates to, in Arabic, it says land of Malay. So the way I understand the story is this is not official currency that is made by any government, but British merchants were dealing with a coin shortage, especially of base metal coins. And so to alleviate that coin shortage, they minted some coins on their own. So we've seen this happen in other places. This isn't the kind of thing that happens anymore, but if everyone goes around, I mean, we've seen some like Civil War era tokens and things like that in America, but not the kind of thing that really happens anymore. So originally these were produced and released in Singapore, and then they made their way over to the Malay archipelago. And one of the things they did on here was you would worry about something like this being confiscated, especially by with the Netherlands, who were using coins in the area. So to circumvent that, they made notations on the coin that essentially were vague or fictional locations. And so perhaps nothing at the time, there wasn't actually a land of Malay at that time. And so if everyone agreed upon these as circulating currency, then these did circulate in the colonial territories. So that date of 1411 that's on here would translate to 1803. And so this does appear in the catalog as token 3. So that's written as TN3 in the Krause catalog. But again, the Singh catalog, it was SS28. And so how do you put a value on something like this? Well, Numista says that this is going to be worth $5 in this condition. So just learning the story about this, I thought was kind of neat. So we'll move on to the next coin that's even older. And I kind of wonder if this coin had a similar history, because we've got our next coin with rusty staples on it. But this one is a Chinese cash coin that, of course, this is the kind of coin that was produced in China for over a millennium, where you've got 4 characters on this side and then a couple of characters are more or less on the back. And so you're almost never going to find a coin like this in great condition, but I thought this one had a pretty good amount of eye appeal to it, just because of how much dirt got in between the characters on here. Made it really easy for me to read. I've had some well-worn things that you just can't see any of the details on it, but I had no trouble finding this one in the Hartel catalog of Chinese cash coins. This one is, if you're interested, the characters on here are going to say Qian Long Tong Bao, which means this was made during the reign of Emperor Gao Zhong, who reigned over the Chinese Empire from 1736 to 1795. So that gives you kind of an idea of the age of this coin. We flip this over, and the characters here are Bu Yuan, which means this was made by the Board of Works, and so this was a nationally circulating coin. We were talking earlier about how different provinces would make their own coins, so you had a lot of regional issues, but this one was meant to circulate empire-wide. This specific coin was made from 1736 to 1739. In the Hartle catalog, it's number 22.250, and they noted that these specific coins were very well made with broad characters. And so, definitely better condition than I normally find a coin like this in. And so I found it really easy to read the details on this one. So I really liked that one. So our next coin probably came from about the same place. We have a coin that's, again, stapled with it's rusty on here. And all I had to go on was English George the Fourth, and they priced this at 50 cents. So I've gotten nothing else written on the back here. So I've gotten an actual fair number of well-worn George II, Third, Fourth coins from Britain in the last year. So I've seen a lot of these. And so I'm not 100% sure that is George the Fourth on here, but the only other monarch that I think it could reasonably be is George II. So what time frame are we looking at on here? Well, George IV reigned from 1820 to 1830. If it was George II, George II reigned from 1727 to 1760. So what is it? Well, I could not find this anywhere. So I really don't know. So whoever had this coin for a long time in Staples couldn't figure it out, and neither could I. And so I went to Nemista and just typed in George II and looked up everything that came up, and nothing really showed up. I was kind of wondering if maybe that's brass. Now that I'm looking at it through the camera screen, it looks more of, I guess it's more of a copper or bronze, but there were no British circulating brass coins for sure. As we flip this one over, I feel it's about the size of a half penny from that date, but as we look on this side, I'm not even sure which side is up. I think this side is up because I see a date of 18 right here, so now that I say that, this is probably more likely going to be George IV, so we can forget about George II. But even still, with all the words that are written around, the letters written around the edge, I can't read any of them. But what I do see is what looks like some leaves forming a circle that goes around on here. So I never found this specific coin or token anywhere. This does not look anything like an actual circulating half cent, so it's almost certainly going to be a token. The closest thing I could find, I found several different designs that had these leaves in a circle on it, but nothing with the date at the bottom. But all of the ones that were similar to this were made in 1830 as a commemorative or a tribute to the death of George IV. So maybe that's what it is, but there's just not enough details for me to know for sure. If I hold it like this, it almost appears to be a date of 1823 there at the bottom, but it's so well worn that I'm only confident in the 18. So I might have to come back and double check on that one. But otherwise, I don't really know what's going on with that one. That leaves us with one coin, and I bought this from a different dealer. This is the second time I've bought anything from him. This time it's just one coin, no point making a separate video of it. This guy doesn't really specialize in foreign coins, but he does have a fair number of silver-proof coins that he sells for spot plus 25%. And so if you had let's say a silver ounce that was that had $20 of silver value, add 25% to that, so it'd be about $25, and that's kind of the price point that we're looking at here. This one is, let me go ahead and flip it over, show you the head side. This is Elizabeth II from Bahamas. So it was when the British still controlled the Bahamas. But I do believe this was taken out of a proof set. I don't believe this was ever meant to be circulating, but this is a $2 coin from 1969. The two flamingos sunset over the water in the background. I really like this design. and I don't think it's going to hurt anything. This is just so pretty. I got to take it out of the flip. Now that I do that, I can see it's definitely not worth preserving all the features. This isn't going to get extra value because of the proof feature. This has been worn a little bit. A little bit of toning on it as well. I can't blame the flip for it, but it's got some scratches now that I hold it like this. But I do think this is a pretty coin. And so now I can kind of hold up the, someone went to the trouble of printing off some details for the flip here. Catalog KM9, $2, proof coin. Sterling, 92.5 silver. Diameter of 40 millimeters. It's a weight of almost 30 grams. So that gets you to 0.8863 troy ounces. Does have a reeded edge. And then they said it was the Franklin Mint. But I did not find a Franklin Mint mark on here anywhere. Maybe you can see it, but I cannot. And also, to go along with that, the catalog said that KM9 was not made at the Franklin Mint. But in this video, we had a lot of old coins, but we do have this one beautiful silver coin that I thought I wanted to end on here. So I think that was really a nice way to finish it up. Go ahead and put that one back into safety. So let me go back to the George IV token. I couldn't give it a rest. I decided to take another look. Since it appears to have a date of 1823 on here, at least that's what I think I'm seeing. I gave that one more shot just typing in George IV 1823 into Numista. I found a possibility. There is from the province of Nova Scotia, before they were part of Canada, there were some halfpenny tokens that did feature George IV on it, did feature leaves on this side, but not quite the leaves as they appear here, but the 1823 does appear at the bottom. So I don't think that's right, but it actually could be sort of close, and it has to do partially with the reading. I didn't highlight this earlier, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to get that on video. That's called an engrailed reading, so it's kind of lots of little divots that are kind of at an angle run all the way around it, and that is, maybe we can kind of see it like that. So it's possible that this was a circulating token, maybe somewhere even in Canada, or what is today Canada, because they were, of course, British controlled even back then, but before it was actually the Canadian Confederation, they still would have had circulating tokens that were manufactured for circulation there in Canada, and specifically here in Nova Scotia. And I say Nova Scotia because that was the only province with that had a circulating token dated 1823. But maybe that's I need to keep looking down that route a little bit more. But either way, for 50 cents, I think it's fun to take a look. Something else that I was looking at was the shape of the portrait on here. How there's kind of like a cut right there. So you've got the front of the neck, but then you've got part of it coming back right here with kind of like an angle into it. And I think that does match the George IV portrait on some of those tokens. So maybe not. All right. We'll see what mysteries we have in my next video, but until then, I've got some links at the end to some of my past videos, so thanks for watching. I'll catch you next time. Bye.